Each year, we pause to honor the life and legacy of the late Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. His message of peace, nonviolence, and social change resounds today, as loud as it did when Dr. King was advocating for the civil rights of people of all backgrounds. We pause to provide a few of his iconic words from What's Your Life's Blueprint, a speech he delivered at a high school in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania in October 1967.
A few members of North Carolina Central University's student, faculty, staff, and alumni communities read just a portion of this powerful message.
We already have some noble examples of Black men and Black women who demonstrated to us that human nature cannot be cataloged. They in their own lives have walked through long and desolate nights of oppression, and yet they've risen up and plunged against cloud-filled nights of affliction, new and blazing stars of inspiration. And so from an old slave cabin in Virginia's hills, Booker T. Washington rose up to be one of America's great leaders. He lit a torch in Alabama, and darkness fled in that setting. Yes, you should know this because it's in your own city.
From the poverty-stricken area of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, Marian Anderson rose up to be the world's greatest contralto, so that a Toscanini could say that a voice like this comes only once in a century. And Sibelius of Finland could say, "My roof is too low for such a voice." From the red hills of Gordon County, Georgia, and the arms of a mother who could neither read or write, Roland Hayes rose up to be the world's greatest singer and carried his melodious voices all into the palaces and mansions of kings and queens.
From crippling circumstances, there came a George Washington Carver to carve for himself an imperishable niche in the annals of science. There was a star in the diplomatic sky, and then came Ralph Bunche, the grandson of a slave preacher, and he reached up and grabbed it and allowed it to shine in his life with all of its scintillating beauty.
There was a star in the athletic sky, and then came Jackie Robinson in his day and Willie Mays in his day, with their powerful bats and their calm spirits. Then came Jesse Owens with his fleet and dashing feet. Then came Joe Louis and Muhammad Ali with their fist.
All of them came to tell us that we can be somebody, and to justify the conviction of the poet, fleecy locks and black complexion cannot forfeit nature's claim. Skin may differ, but affection dwells in black and white the same. And if I were so tall as to reach the pole and to grasp the ocean at a span, I must be measured by my soul. The mind is a standard of the man. Those were words uttered by my friend Martin Luther King Jr., who I got to know just at the close of the Montgomery bus boycott in 1956. At that point, we became good friends and stayed in touch with each other all during the movement. I learned many things from Martin, and my great entry into politics came about as a result of what we talked about through the 12 years that our friendship lasted. And it was in 1964 that I decided that I would get involved in politics, something that he had been asking me to do for a long period of time. I did it, but in 1968, to be very honest with you, I figured I would get out of it because I saw what had happened to him, and I was always fearful. But one of the things that we talked about so much was the difference in our philosophies. I would always tell Martin that he was the pacifist and that I was not a pacifist. If somebody was going to hit me, I was going to hit them back. And he said, you know, Mickey, he said, I used to feel that way too. He said, I had talks with folks like Mahatma Gandhi and others, and I just decided early on that if we were going to make any progress at all, we couldn't do it in a violent manner, that it had to be done on a peaceful grasp of the situation. And that's where I think I formed my opinion about the movement going in a peaceful direction. And I guess I'd learned a lot from that, and in so many of the conversations we had. I miss him. I don't know what the world would be like today if he were here, but I'm pretty sure that the peacefulness that Martin always espoused would be in the forefront of every person's mind rather than violence, the violence that we have seen here lately.